Okay, so imagine this. You're channel surfing and you land on a news report about Queen Camilla, but it's not your usual royal fluff piece. This is explosive. We're talking accusations of charity fraud, a bitter feud with her ex-husband, Andrew Parker Bowles, and King Charles caught in the middle looking utterly betrayed. It's a mess of royal proportions, and it all started with the best of intentions, or so it seemed. Let's rewind a bit. Remember Andrew Parker Bowles? He was always kind of a shadowy figure, the other man in the Charles and Camilla saga. For years, he just faded into the background, a footnote in royal history. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, he re-emerges, not as some disgruntled ex-spouse, but as a humanitarian. He launches a charity, Hope for Children Fund, aimed at helping disadvantaged kids. It was a total surprise and honestly a bit heartwarming. Here's this guy who'd been through the ringer with the whole royal love triangle, dedicating his life to a noble cause. The press ate it up. Redemption, they cried. A new chapter! The launch event was this glitzy affair in London, packed with philanthropists and journalists. Andrew, looking surprisingly dapper for a man in his 80s, gave this heartfelt speech about wanting to leave a legacy of compassion. Everyone was moved, and then bam, Camilla walks in. Total shocker, no one expected her, especially with Charles' busy schedule. It was a media frenzy, cameras flashed, headlines practically wrote themselves, Queen Camilla reunites with ex-husband for charity launch. At first, it seemed like a gesture of goodwill, a sign of forgiveness and unity. Andrew, ever the gentleman, greeted her warmly. Camilla, all smiles and grace, said she wanted to support the cause. The crowd went wild. The image of them together, seemingly reconciled, went viral. Donations poured in. It was a PR dream. Andrew was ecstatic. He thought Camilla's involvement would elevate the charity to a whole new level, enabling them to help even more children. He saw it as a turning point, a chance to really make a difference. But here's where things get murky. What Andrew didn't know was that Camilla's motives weren't quite as pure as they seemed. Behind that charming smile, she had her own agenda. As she whispered to herself in her car later that night, "Andrew, you've always been predictable. I came for power, and this fund will serve my purpose." It sounds harsh, I know, but that's the truth of it. Camilla saw the charity as an opportunity, a way to boost her own image and wield influence. She started inserting herself into every meeting, making suggestions, offering help. She even started funneling funds from lesser-known royal foundations into the charity, all under the guise of supporting the children. Andrew was touched by her generosity, completely unaware that she was secretly manipulating things behind the scenes. He trusted her implicitly, believing that they were finally working together for a common good. He couldn't have been more wrong. The cracks started showing subtly. A school in Manchester promised funds for a new roof, called, confused. The money hadn't arrived. Then a children's hospital in Birmingham, slated for new equipment, reported the same thing. Andrew initially chalked it up to bureaucratic snafus. He made calls, demanded explanations. The accountants assured him the payments had been made, receipts signed. But the beneficiaries swore they hadn't seen a penny. A cold dread began to creep into Andrew's heart. He started poring over the books himself, late into the night, fueled by coffee and a growing sense of unease. He found it. Altered clauses, falsified authorizations, signatures that looked like his but weren't. And then the bombshell. Large sums of money rerouted to anonymous accounts, offshore, untraceable. It was all Camilla. The realization hit him like a physical blow. The smiles, the reassurances, the talk of children, all a charade. He remembered her whispering about streamlining the process, making things more efficient. It was all a lie. He had to confront her. That evening, he drove to Clarence's house, the royal residence, clutching a folder full of damning evidence. His driver, sensing his mood, asked if he was sure about the destination. "This ends tonight," Andrew replied, his voice grim. He found Camilla in the drawing room, sipping wine, looking every inch the queen. She greeted him with a cool smile. "Andrew," she said, "I knew you'd come." He didn't waste time with pleasantries. He slammed the folder on the table. "What did you do with the money, Camilla? This was for the children, not for your personal gain." Camilla remained infuriatingly calm. "Oh, Andrew," she sighed, "you always overreact. I simply made some adjustments, that's all. Besides, without me, your little charity would still be nothing." Suddenly, King Charles appeared in the doorway. "What's going on here?" he demanded, his eyes narrowed with suspicion. "Andrew, what brings you here at this hour?" Andrew turned to him, his voice tight with anger. "I'm here to tell you the truth about your wife." Charles' expression hardened. "I've heard rumors," he said coldly, "that the charity is failing, that money is missing. I assumed it was your fault, Andrew, and now you're trying to blame Camilla?" Andrew's patience snapped. "No, Charles. She's behind it. She signed the contracts. She rerouted the funds. The evidence is right here." Camilla jumped to her feet, her voice rising in panic. "He's lying. He's bitter about the past. He's trying to disgrace me." Charles looked from Andrew to Camilla, his face a mask of confusion. "I've known you for years, Andrew. Have you never forgiven me for taking Camilla? Is this your revenge?" "If I wanted revenge," Andrew retorted, "I would have taken it decades ago. I'm here for the children, for the truth. Look at the documents, Charles. The signatures, the transfers, they all lead to her." Charles hesitated, then began to examine the papers. As he read, his face grew darker. Camilla rushed to his side, pleading with him not to believe it. "I did it for us, Charles, for the royal image, for the good of the crown." Andrew laughed bitterly. "For the crown? You use starving children as props in your self-serving show? Enough!" Charles roared, his voice shaking with fury. "The crown doesn't need a legacy built on stolen charity funds. You've disgraced yourself and me. Leave, Camilla. I don't want to see you." Camilla stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. Then, realizing she had lost, she turned and fled, her sobs echoing through the palace. The room fell silent. For the first time in decades, the two men, once rivals, faced each other without bitterness, united by a shared sense of betrayal. "Charles," Andrew said quietly, "we can't keep this buried. The truth must come out." Charles nodded, his voice rough with emotion. "You're right. This is no longer about her. It's about the honor of the monarchy. You and I will face this together." That night, as Andrew left Clarence's house, a heavy silence settled. Charles sat still, clutching the folder. Under the lamp's glow, he traced each signature, each stroke, confirming the awful truth. Every contract, every sum led back to Camilla. It wasn't just the charity she'd betrayed, but his trust, the crown's dignity. "I sacrifice everything," he murmured, "and this is my reward." Dawn brought legal advisors, auditor, the royal communications team. "Complete investigation," Charles ordered. "Nothing hidden, no one protected." Within days, the proof was undeniable. Andrew's claims were accurate. On the third day, Charles summoned Andrew. Gone was the anger, replaced by determination. "You were right," he said. "Camilla deceived me. The foundation, I can't bury this." Andrew remained silent. Vindication brought no joy, only sorrow. Charles exhaled. "We'll go public, not for the monarchy, but for the children." Preparations began for a press conference unlike any other. When the day arrived, the world watched London. St. James's Palace overflowed with reporters. Charles appeared, somber, in black. Beside him, Andrew, weary but resolute. Once divided, now united. Charles began, his voice echoing, "The Hope for Children Fund has been misused. Resources meant for the vulnerable were redirected. The individual responsible is Camilla Parker Bowles, Queen of the United Kingdom, someone I trusted completely." The hall erupted. Questions flew, flashes burst. Andrew stepped forward, his voice wavering. "This isn't about vengeance. My past is behind me. I speak because I cannot stand by while children are robbed for vanity and greed. I believed in her, as you did, and I was betrayed." The room fell silent. That night, the story exploded globally. Queen Camilla diverts children's charity funds. King Charles and ex-husband unite to expose scandal. News clips showed Camilla smiling beside children, then documents detailing stolen sums. Outrage spread. "We can forgive mistakes, never exploiting children." Watchdogs issued statements. Donors demanded audits, suspended contributions. The fund was frozen. Camilla's reputation crumbled. Inside the palace, Charles couldn't wouldn't look at her. He turned away in silence. Her name vanished from meeting lists. Her apologies met with cold words. "You didn't just betray me, you dishonored the crown." Those words cut deeper than accusations. She had fought for her place, now it dissolved. Andrew became a symbol of conscience. True honor, he told reporters, isn't title or crown. It's doing what's right when it costs you everything. The nation admired him. Newspapers called it rightful redemption. Back at Clarence's house, Camilla sat alone, her makeup smeared. The face in the mirror was weary, defeated. From the TV, the headline looped. The woman who betrayed the children, she buried her face crushed by disgrace. She had lost everything: trust, love, her throne in spirits. Down the hall, children's laughter drifted from a charity event. The sound pierced her. The door closed. Darkness enveloped the room, ending Queen Camilla's era, marked by loneliness, remorse, and the echo of innocence she could never reclaim. When the press conference ended, London ignited. Camilla betrays the nation, steals from children. King and ex-husband expose deceit. Television screens showed Camilla beside children, then millions siphoned away. The contrast shocked. Clips of Charles's confession, Andrew's declaration, looped endlessly. "This isn't for the past, it's for the children," became a moral cry. Camilla's image vanished. Charities cut ties, corporations withdrew, the public turned against her. She was branded a fraud, mocked as the queen of false promises. Andrew sat beneath a lamp staring at the documents. After interviews, his voice was raw, his spirit drained. Though vindicated, he felt emptiness. He remembered hopeful days, trusting Camilla, wanting to leave good behind. Her laughter, her handshake, all illusions. "Perhaps I was foolish to believe she'd ever change," he murmured. His victory felt like settling a debt, necessary yet sad. Charles sat alone, surrounded by newspapers screaming betrayal. He lowered his head, exhausted. Memories returned: Camilla's voice, secret calls, letters during his marriage to Diana. He had defied his family, the church, the nation to make her queen. Now she had made him a spectacle. This pain was heartbreak. "Maybe Diana was right," he whispered. "Maybe I chose wrong." Tears welled. A king couldn't grieve long. He straightened. Duty demanded composure, but the wound would never heal. Camilla returned to Clarence's house in silence. No courtiers greeted her. The halls felt colder, illuminated by harsh light. Collapsing into an armchair, she clutched a newspaper. "The woman who betrayed children." The words blurred. Every effort, every image had turned to dust. She thought of her youth, her ambition, her battle for acceptance. She had endured hatred, disapproval, believing she'd secured her crown, but now it was meaningless. She was a fraud. Facing the mirror, her makeup streaked, her eyes hollow, she whispered, "I've lost everything." In the vast room, no applause remained, only a silence that swallowed her whole. After the frenzy, Charles invited Andrew to meet privately. They sat by a fire, tension replaced by understanding. Charles spoke, sincere: "I owe you an apology. I accused you of vengeance, yet you did what I should have done long ago." Andrew nodded. "I never wanted revenge, Charles. Only truth, real honor comes from facing it, not covering it up." For the first time, both men recognized the same truth. Their rivalry was over. They were bound not by jealousy, but by betrayal. Outside, the storm raged. Nonprofits demanded Camilla's removal. Tabloids declared the queen has become the crown's greatest burden. Cartoons depicted Camilla with a crown, clutching money while children watched. The ridicule was merciless. This was the harshest punishment, not from law, but from public conscience. That night, Camilla sat alone again. Newspapers littered the floor, each identical: "The woman who betrayed children." Her sobs filled the room. From the TV came children's laughter, another charity event, one she was no longer welcome to attend. The cheerful voices echoed like ghosts. Camilla lifted her gaze to the mirror. The reflection was no longer regal, only a fragile woman stripped of love, power, and legacy. She finally understood her punishment: to live utterly alone, remembered not as the queen she longed to be, but as the betrayer of those she claimed to protect. The lights dimmed, the door closed, and with that, Camilla's reign ended. Not in grandeur, but in solitude and silence.